CPoe, and the topic is the many faces of despair. And of course, Dr. Poe, we want to give you an opportunity not only to identify the concept of despair, but also to be a little more specific in reference to it. I think you mentioned the fact of language being a part of despair, that there's a language, you say, of despair. Let's talk about that, because I've never thought about despair from any perspective like dealing with language. Go on, let's talk about that.
Well, as I said before, despair is widespread and has many faces or many manifestations. I've come to recognize that despair has a language. There are certain things that people say who are in despair. For example, I don't care anymore. Nobody's gonna tell me what to do.
All right.
I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm grown. So that's some of the language of despair. Also, people who are in despair are characterized by certain beliefs, and that is that they have a right to do what they want to do. Okay. That they have a right. They believe they have a right to do what they want to do, that they have a right to go where they want to go. They even have a right to take advantage of other people, okay, if it advances themselves. So that's basically a kind of a thumbnail sketch of some of the language of despair.
Very good. Let's talk about despair, Dr. Poe, and the connection between despair and mental illness, because I think that that's a very, very popular topic today, and let's talk about it.
Well, okay. Oftentimes, mental illness is preceded by guilt. And we know that guilt is either false or true. Now, oftentimes when people are abused early on in life, they blame themselves. And that's what we would call then false guilt. But now, if that guilt is not resolved, that person can easily enter into a condition of despair. And once in a condition of despair, the manifestation may be increased anxiety, panic attacks, insomnia, irritability, mood swings, paranoia, hearing voices, seeing things, delusional thinking. The person may feel that he or she is superior to other people. They may have delusions of persecution, that people are out to get them. They may have delusions of being controlled by forces outside of themselves or controlled by another person. They may have what's called nihilistic delusions, where they believe that the world is coming to an end in a few days. So delusional thinking, for example, or psychotic symptoms are often manifestations of despair.
And so, Dr. Poe, it's so very, very widespread that it's almost impossible to characterize what it is, because everything that you see each day, you know, even dealing with the language, sort of reminds you that these individuals are, according to what you're saying, are either in despair or they are what? Going into a state of despair. Is that what it's
Absolutely. Well, let me give some examples of some other faces of despair. I believe that sagging, you know, what our young people are doing now, walking around with their pants half off, I think that's a manifestation of despair. Gang involvement, I think, is a manifestation of despair. Hate crimes, hate, racism is a manifestation